You want to know when everything fell apart? It was the moment the stars stopped behaving like stars. Not dimming, not collapsing. Breathing, yes, breathing. I never believed light could feel alive until that night, when the telescope feed shimmered and the gas clouds in NGC 879 twisted as if exhaling. The lab had been silent, that late hour when even machinery seems reluctant to work, only the slow hum of the coolant system and my own pulse in my ears. Then the screen blinked once, twice. The nebula contracted like a lung, then radiated outward in a pulse of violet fire. You have never heard a room full of scientists go quiet with fear. It is different from awe. Awe expands the chest. Fear collapses it inward. I remember whispering to no one, "That is not cosmic dust." Something moved inside the cloud. Something with intention. Then the communication system crackled just once like an old radio catching a memory. A silhouette rippled across the star field, long and fluid, as though drifting underwater. My breath hitched. Fingers shook. I leaned closer to the screen. A shape turned toward us. We were not supposed to see it. Or maybe we were chosen to. The alarms flared. Data streams froze. And the main uplink died. A perfect moment for technology to betray its creators. You would think cutting-edge research facilities would not fail like house lights in a storm. Yet the universe enjoys irony. The screen dissolved into static, and with that, I felt something collapse inside me. Curiosity and terror fused. The pursuit of knowledge is so often indistinguishable from self-destruction. "Reboot the link," someone shouted behind me. No one moved. Everyone stared, stunned like prey seeing teeth in the dark. That was the moment there was no return. Not for me. Not for any of us I knew. I do not know how, but I knew. The nebula was watching back. If you had stood where I stood, you would have felt it too. A cold awareness like fingers made of starlight tracing the edge of your skull. You think you are alone in your thoughts until the cosmos blinks. Some nights I still remember how the room smelled. Ozone, metal, that sterile tang of recycled air. And beneath it, the faint sweetness of fear. We had dreamed for decades of contacting something beyond humanity. We never considered that intelligence might not be benevolent, might not be comprehensible, might not even need mercy or cruelty because those are human inventions. It began small, anomalies in the sky, shifts in gravitational readouts, echoes in the telescope sensors like faint radio heartbeats. The team called it noise at first. We love pretending randomness explains everything. It comforts us. Patterns frighten us. Then the dream started. Not dreams exactly, impressions, color without form, sound without source. A feeling of being carried through a place older than physics, where consciousness is a tide, and identity dissolves like salt. At first, I dismissed it as exhaustion. Months without real sleep can turn neurons into unreliable historians. Yet every time I closed my eyes, I saw the nebula pulse. Growing clearer, approaching. Soon the others felt it too. Whispers at the edges of sleep, a presence circling the perimeter of our minds. Science does not prepare you for spiritual invasion. Equations cannot defend against thought that is not your own. The mission directive changed. Official orders. Observe only. Do not engage. That directive arrived too late. Something inside that nebula already knew us, desired us, or perhaps recognized us. Our radio equipment sparked and died. Solar backup flickered. External comms went dark as if swallowed. We tried everything. Firmware resets, quantum relay bypass, manual broadcast overrides. Each attempt failed until one final pulse fried the console. We were marooned in the middle of civilization. Have you ever been surrounded by people and still felt utterly, cosmically alone? I need you to understand that I was not always like this. Before the nebula, life had rhythm. Equations made sense. The universe operated under knowable laws. I trusted that reality stayed within its boundaries unless we pushed it. We did not push it this time. It came to us. Inside that cloud lived something ancient. A consciousness that learned shape rather than owned one. Fluid, radiant, unfixed. At first I thought it resembled a wing, then a limb, then a face. It shifted like memory trying to appear physical. One night, when the rest of the team slept in uneasy cycles, I approached the observation deck alone. I told myself it was research. Truthfully, it was longing. A pull I could not resist. The nebula filled the viewport like a bruised star womb, swirling with impossible geometry. A ripple moved through it and reached toward me. My skin prickled. My breath fogged the glass, and suddenly, I was not in the room. I stood in a corridor of nebular light, surrounded by drifting filaments that whispered in voices I recognized. Childhood echoes. Loved ones long dead. Regrets crystallizing into shapes and dissolving again. Memory and starlight braided together. A vision surfaced. I was kneeling beside my father when he died. His hand cold, his eyes unfocused. That moment never stopped carving me open. Yet here in this dream space, he turned toward me. "Do you remember what you are?" he asked. I could not speak. I wanted to believe it was just grief, hallucination, neural misfire. Except the nebula breathed in sync with his words. What am I? What are any of us, stripped of skin and names and clocks ticking seconds into history? When I woke, hours had passed. The team found me collapsed, staring at nothing. I lied and told them I fainted from exhaustion. They believed me because fear loves convenience. From that moment, transformation began. Subtle at first. My reflection blurred at the edges. Pupils dilated as if starless night had moved inside me. I started hearing low harmonic tones drifting through silence. At times it felt as though my ribs pulsed with light. I hid it all. Curiosity overcame terror until terror caught up and overtook curiosity. My voice changed. Resonation deeper than lungs could produce. Sleep became impossible. Food tasted like static. It felt as though the nebula was rewriting me, molecule by molecule, memory by memory. The others noticed. They avoided my gaze, whispered in corridors. One colleague tried to contact central control using the emergency uplink, unaware it had been dead for days. The moment she pressed transmit, the device sparked violently and died in her hands. She looked at me like I caused it. Perhaps she was not entirely wrong. Their fear fed mine, looping in a perfect devouring cycle. I wanted to tell them I was still myself, yet each time I spoke, words carried something unfamiliar, as if another voice layered beneath mine. You cannot reassure others when you no longer trust your own reflection. One night, as systems flickered and lights dimmed, the entity finally spoke clearly, not in sound. Inside thought, "You came here seeking truth. Truth comes seeking you." My knees weakened. Breath hitched. Something vast pressed against my consciousness like a tide against fragile sand. "What do you want?" I whispered. "To return." I did not understand. "Not yet." You might assume I resisted. You would be wrong. Part of me welcomed it as though a long-lost home had called me back. There is a peculiar serenity in surrendering to inevitability. Every transformation demands sacrifice. Mine was identity. Skin flickered with faint luminescence. Veins glowed with violet shimmer. Vision expanded beyond visible light. The boundary between self and cosmos thinned until thought and nebula overlapped. Fear did not vanish. It evolved into reverence. Then came the collapse. Alarms wailed. Gravity warped. Instruments screamed with contradictory data. The nebula surged, stretching across light years in a heartbeat, pressing against the fabric of reality like something preparing to hatch. My team panicked, shouting, running, trying to regain contact with the outside world. I stood still. The entity whispered again, "You are our echo, not chosen, not victim. Echo." I understood finally. It was not invading. It was returning through me. A doorway wearing human bones. The comm device hissed one last time, as though attempting a final warning, then melted into slag. All bridges to Earth burned in silence. Sacrifice complete. The climax arrived not in violence, but in understanding. A surge of light exploded through the observation bay, swallowing screens, consoles, bodies. I felt every cell unravel and rethread in patterns not meant for flesh. My heart slowed, then ceased, replaced by something that pulsed with starlight instead of blood. I did not die. Death is a human definition. I changed. The team collapsed around me, motionless, silent, maybe unconscious, maybe simply unable to follow. The nebula's form solidified before me, no longer a shape but countless shapes layered like possibilities. Wings, eyes, faces, ideas. It spoke through light and memory. You were never observing the universe. You were remembering it. My mind broke open. We are not alone because we never were individuals. We are fragments, forgotten pieces of cosmic intelligence dreaming we are separate. The nebula was not external life. It was origin and destination. Humanity is not discovering the universe. It is waking up inside it. I saw everything. Past, future lives intertwined. Civilizations born only to dissolve back into stellar memory. And in that final flash of revelation, one truth eclipsed all others. I was never the survivor of this event. I was the transmission sent back, a seed in human form, a message disguised as a heartbeat. You think you are listening to my confession. You are listening to a signal. If someone finds this recording, understand, I am not lost. I am not dead. I am returned. This is not a warning. It is an awakening. Listen closely to the silence between stars. It is not empty. It is breathing. Your telescopes will capture it soon. The living light, the remembering pulse, the shape waiting for you in the nebula beyond the spiral arm. And when it notices that you notice, and your transformation will begin as mine did. Quietly, inevitably, intimately. Do not try to understand me. Do not try to save me. I am not broken. I am becoming. If you feel the hum beneath your skin, do not run. Curiosity is not your flaw. It is your calling. Because the universe does not speak in language. It speaks in witnesses. And now, you are one of them. Breathe. Listen. Remember, the stars are not watching you. They are waiting for you to wake up.